With the Tokyo Game Show 2019 almost over, we finally got to see what the new Resident Evil Project Resistance had in store for us, where they showed off quite a bit of gameplay footages and revealing a lot of details of what the overall mechanics of this game is all about. So before we dissect this new Resident Evil Project Resistance gameplay trailer and footages, I just want to say my name is DeVuH, and I do cover a lot of Resident Evil content, so if you guys want more videos like this in the future, then please feel free to smash that like and subscribe button, and possibly sharing this video with a friend and any other social media outlets out there. I'd really appreciate the support. Okay, so let's go over all the obvious details from the get-go, which was already showed off from the initial trailer that we saw several days ago, which was the main premise of using a 4-player co-op while you fight against the many monsters that are thrown at us, where with each character having their own special traits, with some details shown here, where we get a small detail about their background and what type of special abilities that they have, with Samuel, the one with the Letterman jacket, who's known to be the main damage producer of the group, with Tyrant being a hybrid of a damage/tank role, with Valerie and January playing more of a support roles, with one being able to hack cameras, or one being able to use a first aid spray to heal other characters and giving them buffs during that time. So with all the characters blended together, it makes a rather well-rounded group, especially with the right people and with the right chemistry. I can see them blowing past some of the areas with ease, though the latter can be said if somehow one or two of your companions end up being split apart from the group, being alone to fend for themselves, which would be a detriment to not only the player, but to the whole group as well, because it was also said that the main goal of the Mastermind, which I'll get into shortly, is to make sure that each member of the group becomes preoccupied with their own dilemma, resorting to a single player aspect instead of the betterment of the group. Anyways, before we start talking about the Mastermind, let's quickly cover some speculation of other characters making a debut in this game as well, with one article theorizing that these two characters right here is both Jill and Carlos from Resident Evil 3. Though right now it's really hard to say with a definite answer, but if correct, that would open the floodgates of more rumors about a potential Resident Evil 3 remake, with one being that this Project Resistance experiment is actually one of the side game modes for RE3 remake, similar to how we can play side games like Mercenaries or Tofu from the previous Resident Evil titles. So if this is correct, then I'm all for it. I'd gladly welcome a multiplayer aspect to Resident Evil once again, even though the last couple iterations wasn't really received well by the fans. Also, if I may add, this Project Resistance experiment has been very polarizing with the Resident Evil community as well, where on one side, we have full support and loving the new direction to what Capcom is doing with the franchise, while on the other side is voicing their overall disappointment with this new project, concerning it to be a quick money grab for Capcom and foregoing their attention from the main Resident Evil titles of the future. So overall, I can see both sides of the argument, and I can empathize with their feelings, but only time will tell on how this game will perform once it's finally released to the public. Anyways, let's go ahead and move on to our next topic, which I find the most interesting aspect of this game, which is being able to become the mastermind that tries to eliminate the other 4 players. Because playing as Mastermind, we get a chance to oversee the whole map, also being aware of the other players' locations and movements. Also, we get a chance to place cameras and traps as well, adding more to the overall dynamic during the gameplay. Because imagine already being chased by a zombie, to then being held up by a trap, or worse, we might even find ourselves being stuck while the famous T-103 Tyrant Mr. X is chasing after you. The possibilities are endless with the way we can set up monsters and traps for the other 4 players. And of course, the balancing for this game is also included as well, because we're not allowed to just place all sorts of monsters without any kind of repercussions, with the limit to how much the Mastermind can place at a time is by a card cost or counter, where we play with a deck of cards of sorts and given a certain amount of points that allows us to use to stop the other players. So if we want to use a zombie for an example, the cost of that would be much less compared to if we wanted to summon Mr. X. Also on a quick note, the Tyrants do have a time limit to how long they can be used as well, so we can't just continuously pummel our way against the group. So overall, playing as Mastermind will be a completely different feel from what we're used to, playing from the shadows as we do everything in our power to stop the 4 other players from escaping the Umbrella facility. Anyways, overall, Resident Evil Project Resistance is an interesting new twist to the franchise, with its overall multiplayer aspect and the lack of specific details about the storyline and how this could work in tandem with the main titles. So we may have to just wait until we get a full release of this game and hope that it can add some cutscenes so it can add more to the lore of the series overall. Also, maybe clarifying if those other characters are really both Jill, Valentine, and Carlos, or maybe they'll just have them as player skin options, where we get to use some of our favorite characters from the past Resident Evil games. Anyways, this game looks interesting. The 4-player co-op will be a change of pace compared to what we're used to, to, and playing as a Mastermind is definitely the highlight of this gameplay trailer. Anyways, what are your guys' thoughts about this new Resident Evil Project Resistance experiment? Are you guys excited for the new addition to the franchise? Or would you guys prefer Capcom to focus on the main titles like Resident Evil 3 Remake or Resident Evil 8? Please let me know and why on the comment section down below. Also, if you guys enjoyed my quick overall review of this new Resident Evil game, then please feel free to hit that notification bell icon so you guys can be alerted when I upload my next video. Anyways, thank you guys so much, and as always, you guys have a great rest of your day, and this is Hey DeVuH, signing out.